Namaste. Welcome back to the Darkness to Light Godcast number 20, episode number 20. This one is going to be about faith. And I haven't looked back on the previous ones that I've done, so I do apologise. And what you'll find is the longer you get on about this, I seem to, I'm always repeating the same information, the same stuff, the same inspiration, the same language. It's often kind of, for me anyways, I was learning, I hear this a lot from the students of the Vortex, who, you know, they hear it at different times, in different stages. My brothers in particular, it's been about 5 or 6 years now, and you know, quite often, you know, you'll say, God, I've heard that so many times, and yet I kind of had to hear it. This was at the time when it kind of made most sense to me, or I heard it from a different perspective. You got that kind of penny drop moment where you really get it, and you maybe hear it the way that I'm intending it, possibly. So it's a vast amount of information. It's an entire language which I do my best to describe and explain as we're going, and you know, following on from, you know, episode number 18, and then, you know, that one power infinitely, and thinking about the divine and the way that the work is unfolding just now for me, and the way I'm expressing it, you know, the way I'm talking about it. And then last week, you know, talking about modern man and spirituality, and how it isn't, you know, easy. You go on this journey to discover the presence of the divine, and in fact who you really are, and many people are on that path just now, and it's an incredible journey, and it's one that I look back on. I'm still on it, obviously, but at the time when you're getting it for the first time and you're really in it, and the way that I did it, nobody knew about it. It was just me. My wife knew, but outside that, nobody knew about it. You know, for the first almost 2 decades, I wasn't really sharing it. It wasn't public knowledge. There was no internet, Facebook, socials, that kind of stuff. It was just me, you know, with my books and my teachers and my cassettes, and, you know, sitting in silence and meditating, and, you know, doing the stuff that I was doing to try and get this experience that I kind of really felt was available to me. And when I got it, then, you know, after that, it doesn't come alone. You know, it really doesn't. And this life experience is very difficult. No matter what bit you're at, you know, whether you're on the way to enlightenment, when you realise the divinity that's in you, you know, whether you're God himself or herself or whatever, you know, when you come back to this realm, it's no easy. And the way that it's going just now, I try not to do the whole current affairs thing. That's what everybody does, isn't it? That's really what a lot of podcasters or people that are on socials, that's all they've really got to talk about is what's happening in the world. You know, they're commentators, and I try not to be a commentator. And that's why a lot of the stuff over the years, you know, the work that I've released, you know, it's original to me. It's because I've basically, I didn't really follow many at a certain stage. After a certain point of like downloading the information from the teachers. Now I've mentioned all my teachers, I always give credit, always. I think it's very important to give credit where you get it from. If Wayne Dyer said something, or, you know, Hawkins said something, or Abraham, I'll always give credit. I never ever try to take that as my own. The same is true that if I've said something that comes through me, then I'll take credit for that, because most of the stuff that I'm teaching, you know, the bridges that I've built and the shortcuts that I'm creating, which is what I'm really doing here, a lot of it's original to me. You know, so it's interesting for me to, you know, every now and again I dip in. You know, I look in at the circus, I look in at the jungle and the zoo to see where things are. It's been kind of difficult not to see it over the last couple of weeks. One reason or another, especially if you're living here in the UK, down in England, Ireland as well, we seem to, well, Scotland didn't get any of it, and I wasn't paying the full attention to it the whole way through. I caught it right at the beginning, obviously on the back of the tragedies with the 3 young girls, and then, you know, what followed off the back of that, and, you know, how quickly it seemed to be escalating. Almost at the point like a holy war at one point, you know, the religious war, which is terrifying. And kind of watching myself going through it, and you know, hearing people's take on it. You know, a lot of people talking about end of times, and, you know, this is it, and the free fall of, you know, all of that stuff, all of the, you know, the horrors of the world and the ways of the world, and how it isn't working within the world, how it's all coming to a head, and obviously the other side, whether it's by intention, you know, the reset, or whether it's by divine intervention. There's so much going on just now. What an environment to be in. And if you are awake and aware and intentional with your life and on the spiritual path, then it's difficult both ways. It really is. Ignorance being bliss, when people are just in the middle of it and they don't really see what's going on, is one way of doing it. But when you're awake and aware and you can kind of see, especially if you've been seeing it for a long time, then it's not easy. It's very challenging when you see what's going on in the world. So I don't spend that much time looking at the current affairs. You see the spin on it and you see how they try to play it. No matter what it is, it's always away with them. With the mainstream stuff. But very quickly, I kind of tuned away from it for a couple of days, and then when I'm back and I looked at it again, there was this like counter wave. With all the kind of obviously the the labels and who was causing what trouble and who was doing the damage and who was being arrested for it and who wasn't, and all that kind of the circus, the sides, choose your side and then let's fight for it, that kind of stuff. Always the same. Nobody ever wins. The protesting, the anger, the resentment, it only goes one way. Always ends up in conflict. Which some would say that's exactly what they want, and especially if they're not about, if you're doing that and they're taking photographs of you, then they can do what you want. You're basically in a position where you could be locked up, or for something, something you attend or something you say on here, something that's recorded. So your take on stuff in this time that we're in, who's to say the powers and how they're going to go and what they're going to be able to do with us, the commoners, the working classes, the lower classes, the peasants. The plebs, what they're going to be able to do with us in the future is fairly terrifying. But as always, looking for the solutions, looking for where is the light within this, where is any evidence, because the dark side is real. There is no question about it. Again, I seem to catch a few things this week. I caught the end of the Olympics and the circus that is, with I saw a wee bit of the boxer dude and the Australian breakdancer, whatever she was doing, and then at the end, I saw just got the end of the start of the ceremony, whatever it was, with the aliens coming down, and I heard the commentator basically explaining what's happening, how they've returned to Earth, and there's no sign of life, and I'm just thinking straight. I just started laughing, because you've got this spectacle with the eyes of the world are obviously on, and you've got the ability to do anything. And what do they focus on? The end where Earth, there's no civilization, and a gold record that was sent into space, that's up there somewhere for some ancient civilization to have some trace of who we were as a species. And it's like, I just laughed. I laughed, and the intention behind it and the way that it was set up and the lights and the energy that it brings. It's very dark, and it's very heavy. There's so many things going on. I can imagine that with the opening ceremony as well, the stuff they're feeding in there, they're trying to chuck in there so you can hit you in one way or another, or even as it impacts you. As my wife came in and she said, "God, it's heavy stuff that." Didn't really know what it was, it's just, but that's a real darkness to that. And so I was watching it and looking at it and smiling and going, great, like the enemy has revealed itself. Now we can see exactly where it is. We can see where the world is. We can see where they're trying to probably push us as a species. Well, they've certainly, they've already done a lot of that. A lot of kind of has been corralled into a certain way of living and being. And I was in Glasgow today, Glasgow city centre, and one road closure to get back onto the Charing Cross right in the city centre. It took me 50 minutes to get back down to the other end of the motorway, and I'm just watching it, and I'm never in the city. But just being in that environment and feeling the stress within me, which was turning to anger, just in bitterness, and like because nothing was happening. That is so frustrating. It's such an unnatural environment to be in, and you think how we rely on that entire environment. The people that are basically sitting in the cars and stressed out their nut and going to jobs that a lot of them probably don't like, and doing stuff so they can earn the pennies to buy stuff that we need to survive. And it's just watching the whole thing, and it's not how it's meant to be. It's really not. We're so far removed from how we are supposed to be living, and the stresses and the strains and the way that mankind, no matter where you look, there's conflict everywhere, decimation in many ways, and the way that it's escalating, and the way that it's that it's going. If you're to believe them and you buy into it and you start to think about it, and the logical way would be that it needs to end up in a place that none of us are going to benefit from, and there's no good in it. If they're talking about wars and the scale that they're talking about, then the hour is very, very late, and it's time that we do something about it. So what can we do? What is it? What can we actually do? And the best thing that I saw out of all that, all the dark side, all the nonsense, all the circus and the politics and the bullshit and the lies and the propaganda, whatever it is, the truth in there as well. There's a mixture of everything. It's hard to see it, especially from a certain level of consciousness. You can't tell people under a certain level, as Dr. Hawkins proved with his test with kinesiology, under a certain level of consciousness, you can't tell. So human beings, we believe when somebody presents you something, especially like of a certain generation probably, but even now, when somebody tells you something to be a truth, up until probably the last few years, maybe, and for most people still the case, when somebody says something to be a truth, then, if they go to the bother of writing it and putting it in a newspaper and showing you pictures, then it must be true. So we believe we are inherently good, so we believe, what people tell us because of our nature, which is goodness. And to think that some would manipulate that and change it and affect it in a way so that it brings a different experience into your life, it's madness. There are so many things going on within the world just now. There's so much madness that we're surrounded by, and looking in and seeing the whole thing, the whole zoo, and then getting this counter wave of like, not just hope, but there was action behind it, so it was like people coming together, the protest switched from anger and bitterness and breaking up and fighting and who's doing what. All of a sudden, the power that came through, with people standing together, and choosing, to stand side by side and show, the world, like what the real story is, which is, I was lying earlier on, having a wee think outside and just breathing. I'm thinking, is there any Asians or any black people or any Russians or any of any ethnicity, any Jews that I don't like personally? And there isn't a single person I can think of, that I don't like, and you see how, that mob consciousness and how it's being portrayed and how the fuel gets continuously poured on the fire, especially with these events that they continue to feed off each other. And it's been like that forever, hasn't it? It's always been like that. The separation, the fighting and the wars and the battle, it's always been like that. And I think the scale, I mentioned it possibly in the last podcast, I was talking about the Catholics and the Protestants in Northern Ireland, like standing side by side. And then when you saw that last week, down in England, it didn't matter, what your skin colour was, and it didn't matter, where you were from. We're all standing together as human beings. And that was fantastic for me. It really was. That gave me a whole load of faith in these times that we're in. I'm continuously always looking at the solution. I am solely focused on the fix. How do we fix it? We need to see how bad it is. I continuously say that so we can go and make it better. You see that, when the power that basically came into that, and it seemed to dissipate the whole thing. Maybe that was my take on it, and I know there's still some stuff kicking off, but and that will continue to simmer. But it seemed to be the way that it was going. It just seemed to de-escalate the whole situation, simply by bringing in, a different energy level. When you bring love and togetherness and like people standing side by side in union, but hand in hand, and offering a different way to do it. That's power versus force. The force and the sneakery and the trickery and the way that they do it to keep us suppressed and to keep us down. We need to offer something different. We need to come from a different level of mind. And at some point, we do need to, somebody needs to say, like, stop, which is really difficult, when you've been affected by war and you've perhaps lost loved ones, or, you can only imagine what people are going through, in these war-torn areas. Just, God bless their souls, but if we keep retaliating and we keep fighting back and it never ends, so how do we stop that? How do we get to a point where we say enough is enough? Somebody's going to have to do it, so that's going to have to come from a different level. You can't do that from human being consciousness. You lose a son or a daughter or a partner or loved ones, to whatever reason, it doesn't matter. Then the automatic response, the programmed response, is retaliation, and probably to do what's been done unto you, and then worse, for a lot of people, and then it just continues, doesn't it? It never ends. So we need to get away from that. So it's a time of great darkness. It's a time of much contrast. It's a time of much trickery and sneakery and just illusions everywhere, no matter where you look. But at the same time, for those of us who are running about this stuff, and run about this way of living. It's an exciting time, it really is, and that sounds madness to a lot of people, I get that, but things need to basically get worse before they're going to get better, and for me and what I'm seeing running about this work is there are so many people being drawn to it just now. There's so many people getting in about it, mostly because they're suffering, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of normally the way you find this stuff. You don't normally just breeze in if everything's going well, and then start to ask about ways that you're going to change your life and feel better, which leads into these practices that you probably normally wouldn't find. Things like meditation and going inside and, like the reconnection back into your heart, back into your soul. That normally comes through separation. That normally comes through a lot of times decimation, when you've been affected so badly that you're at a point where you need to find a different way of doing it, and then the elevation of shifting up and going up through the gears and doing it in a different way and putting more into it probably will give you absolutely a different result. So there's a lot of good coming from it just now, and for me, I'm watching it unfold. It's just fascinating for me just now what's happening within the vortex over the last couple of weeks. You talk about being the observer and just watching how things unfold. Those who have been knowing about me, the inner circle and the programme members, have been listening to me in the private chats and the private groups every day over the last couple of weeks. And when it's been the conversations, I've been talking about the excitement and the possibilities of these opportunities that are coming up because of the work that we're doing, but because of our intention to take this to the world and to help people, and the goodness and the excitement and the light that's in that, the possibilities that come with that, to be in that inspiration, to be in that flow, and to be surrounded by other people is just incredible just now. And having faith in the process of how it's unfolding for the vortex and for me and for those who have run about it has been it's been a huge. The evidence has been huge over the last couple of weeks that we're just to allow it to unfold. Any time that I jump in and try to fix it and try to make it happen, which I stopped a long time ago. I am very much, a case of you set your intention, you see how I wanted to play out, you set the vibration in terms of how I wish to feel and what the desires are for whatever it is, whether it's workshops or programmes or coaching or this weekend we are away on retreat, which I'll maybe talk about a wee bit. But when you set the intention, then how it unfolds and how it manifests with this work, it's different when I was out selling one days or fitting one days. There's a process where you just know how it's going to go. Whereas with this work, it's very, very different on every level, in every way. And allowing it to unfold, allowing it to basically manifest, if you like, and reveal itself. Perfect case in point, the retreat this weekend. I have had a location in my mind for the last probably year and a half. A sister of the vortex and really good friend of mine, someone I love dearly. Got out of the rat race a couple of years ago-ish, moved down the west coast of Scotland, got her own place, in the process of doing it up to have a centre where we can do this kind of stuff, retreats and other things that she's working on herself, and always kind of felt that I would love to do the retreat, the weekend away, which I've done many times in the past, and it's normal at the west coast of Scotland. The ceremony, the reconnection back to the self, Mother Nature, there's a whole weekend in it. It's an incredible weekend from Friday till either the Sunday or the Monday. This one that's coming up is till the Sunday. So it's 2 nights away in nature and away from the phones and space and meditation, and it's a fantastic couple of days. It's very, very powerful, especially this weekend because it's programme members only and we all kind of know each other really well, so it's going to be awesome. And this intention to have the location and being at this place has always been there. But for whatever reason, over the last couple of months, my sister, we've been in different pages. She's been on a different path. She's been doing her thing. I've been doing my thing. Trying to phone her. She's been trying to get me on occasion. It's been very difficult. So we were kind of a wee bit stuck. And then so the decision was made to basically just go into nature, just go right off the grid. Michael and Fern with the RV, go straight off the grid, and just go anywhere. We had a couple of locations pinpointed we're going to go to. Michael and Fern spent 10 days ago, they were down there for a couple of days, driving about all these kind of D, E and F class roads with the bungalow, the huge American RV, trying to find this location, roads closed, just wasn't working, it was upstream, it felt like hard work, they were getting frustrated with it, I was getting frustrated with it, there wasn't a lot of work getting done, we were basically, and it's busy just now, so the decision was basically made to call it and look for a kind of plan B, if you like. And then at that point, you know, I had a phone call from an old friend of someone really close to me, who gave me the opportunity that was presented that we could, you know, have a base up in Loch Lomond, close to Loch Lomond, where we could have the possibility of opening a vortex and doing it all year round, have it all winter, all round. And straight away, you know, the excitement behind that and the possibilities behind it, and then straight away, you know, the thoughts of this could be the location for the retreat. Everything happened within a week. It just went bananas, you know, and I spent probably 18 hours a day on it for the best part of a week in Michael and Fern. You know, all of us were all just into it, and then, you know, we felt as if we had the location tied down, the deal was kind of done. We're getting excited for the plans for the winter, and then it all just came a cropper last week, in a way that none of us could have imagined. It was such a curveball. It really was. It was really difficult to take for Michael and Fern. I think for me, I was kind of half expecting it. I was watching it and just, did they feel right at a certain point? And the way that it's now unfolded, you know, it's going to be way better. For us, at one step back to go 2 steps forward, it feels like, with this one kind of project. There's still massive possibilities there, but at the time, you know, it was like end of the world stuff. It's the retreat's next weekend, and how's it going to go? So at the same time, you know, old friends of mine with this work, who I've been with them and stayed at their farm in the past. They come, you know, back again. They made a contact call a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, basically saying what the possibilities to come back and start doing retreats again. You know, so it felt like we had a plan C, where, you know, the first one off the grid didn't work, and then up at Loch Lomond was going to work, and then all of a sudden, out the blue, possibilities. They had a cancellation so they could take us, and then, you know, very quickly we then started to switch, and I'm just watching this whole thing unfold. And then in the middle of all that, you know, there was certainty things just a wee bit too far away. There was got to be certain costs involved in it, which would have been worked out, and I've no doubt of that, but just it was getting further away from, you know, the original plan, the location. We were going to go kind of southwest, and it was going to be in a certain way, and then all of a sudden it was shifting a wee bit too far in the opposite direction. Really blessed that we had the opportunity, and they came through for us. Really grateful. And the plan is to go back up. We're going to be back up there in November. We're going to be up the west coast in November. For a full weekend retreat, another ceremony retreat, which there will be more information coming out, but just didn't feel right. It wasn't feeling right, and I'm driving home and I'm a wee bit kind of deflated, and I'm thinking, like, that's 3 opportunities, possibilities where it could have happened and everything would have been fine, and it wasn't. And I'm letting it go, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm breathing, and I'm having faith in the process, and just smiling and watching it, and knowing within my heart of hearts, every single time when I get involved in about this stuff, when I just let it go and I trust and have faith, everything works out perfectly. And I'm driving back down the road, and I let it all go, and I just stopped, and I think I sat at the side of the road at Loch Lomond for about 10-15 minutes, did some breathing, you know, did a wee kind of quiet meditation, just happy with, you know, the great thing that came out of it was the possibilities that are now at in terms of being able to do something on a much larger scale. I mean, the ideas and I suppose the business model that came through the possibility of being at Loch Lomond for an entire winter, you know, what we'd need to do, and the team that would need to be involved in it. You know, as I was saying to the team during it, like, we can now do this. This is fantastic. We're in a great place. Even if it doesn't happen, I maybe crowd it, you know, but it didn't happen, you know. But just to see us being able to do that was enough almost. So really exciting. So I let it go, and then I'm back on the road again, and inside 5 minutes, the original space, my sister, she picks up the phone and she phones me. And inside an hour it was done. You know, it was just like, you're coming here, perfect timing. It's going to be the first one, I believe, a retreat in our place. It's not open yet to the public, but she's going to open up for us. It looks incredible. Our own sacred trees, our sacred grounds, the house, you know, the space. Just absolutely blessed, you know, and we go on Friday. It's going to be Friday to Sunday. And it's, you know, just really grateful in terms of having the awareness to watch it unfold, and to bring the intention of having the faith to know that it was going to be okay, and just to keep going with it, you know, and keep having that intention to help people, and having faith in the process of, you know, your intentions are pure and you're trying to help. It normally works out okay, you know. I mean, when you're only ever trying to do your best and serve others, you know, through this work and through the inspiration or the tools or the techniques, then it normally works out okay, you know. And that's certainly what's happened. That's what's been the case over this entire process. Really grateful for the whole thing. Talk about ebbing and flowing. Michael and Fern almost chucked it a couple of times last week. I think it was too much, which I get. You know, it's just so much uncertainty, but you know, I've kind of done it enough now that I kind of know how it goes together, and it always works out. Every single time that I've been doing this, it always works out perfectly. Yeah, I'm really excited now for what's coming up, you know, what's going to unfold over, you know, the course of the weekend. Going away, I think there's 15 of us going away and spending time, because it's a space, you know, it's creating that space, and it's being in nature and having the space to allow, you know, it's always, well, it's a tool for healing. The entire weekend is all about healing and transcendence, and, you know, like, it's a spiritual retreat, no question about it. There's not going to be a lot of sleep, there'll be a lot of meditation, there'll be a lot of contemplation. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of tears. I hope there's going to be a lot of tears of joy, a lot of tears of relief, sadness maybe to begin with. But, you know, it's with this kind of work, when you're investing in yourself and putting time into yourself and taking the time out, you know, away for your family and your loved ones, and, you know, spending, you know, as we're going to the best part of a couple of days to invest in yourself, then you need to go. It's serious stuff, you know, and the preparation over the last couple of weeks for what's coming up. They've been preparing in so many different ways, you know, the diet and the intention and thinking about what they're coming in with and what they're looking to get from it. Because once we start to get into it, once we go deep, then, you know, it's going to come up. And as always, you know, to get it up and to get it out, you know, that's the start of a thing, because I'm going to replace it. And when you've got the entire weekend, then I'm expecting miracles. I really am. I'm expecting just transformations and people's lives when they leave there on Sunday to never be the same ever again. You know, being exposed to these different levels, especially as a group. Some of this group now, within the 15, the majority probably, every morning, 5:30, Monday to Friday, most Sunday nights as well, they're coming in. There's always, you know, there's a certain, there's certain numbers, there's 18 this morning, and it's the same people, you know, so they're all doing at a certain level, and experiences and expansion that's coming through. And the work that they're doing, you know, that's the big thing for me. The faith is great, having faith in the process and knowing where you're going, and the desire to make it better, and the desire to, you know, fulfill your life's potential. But it takes work. It really does, you know, and that's the reason, you know, that I am so blessed this weekend, because the people I'm going away with are all working hard at it. They're grafting at it. They're doing the work every single day. I know, because I see them coming in at 5:30 in the morning, you know, and you can see them in meditation for an hour, and then the messages coming in on the group after, you know. So they're doing the work, and this is a time for doing the work. It really is. I've been putting a bit of time into myself recently, which I haven't been in the past. I actually missed a morning meditation yesterday morning. I had a wee bit of a mess up with my alarm clock the night before. A really late night on Monday, which was a fantastic day. I ended up did my first podcast, a proper podcast, with my good friend and my brother Sean Toll from Social Sessions podcast. Thank you, Sean, for having me on Monday. That was a really emotional experience. It really was, in terms of, you know, how much it took out of me. Very different, this kind of stuff, when you feel like you're in your own space, and I'm now comfortable talking like this, but when you're going into the unknown, and there was no script, you know. I've worked with Sean a few times now. He's been to Vortex a few times. He knows who I am, he knows my story, I know who he is, his intentions with his work, and everything that he's been through, and his intentions to help and, you know, give people a platform to speak their truth, and, you know, just fantastic, you know, the authenticity behind what he's doing. But, you know, to go in there, and we're walking up the stairs, and he says, I've not prepared anything for this, there's no script, we're just going to have a blather. So I was thinking last night in bed, like, oh, what did I say, what was I, because I was just talking as if I was talking to one of my mates, kind of her. I still had the professional head on a wee bit, you know. I was still probably reining it in a wee bit, maybe for Sean's audience. Because again, it's funny when I hear myself being in that environment and talking, and I'm listening to myself talking about God and consciousness and meditation and union and divinity, and, you know, I am that I am, and I can hear myself saying it, you know. And you become conscious when you're in, especially when it's going to be interesting to see what the feedback is. I can only talk my truth, I can only speak my truth, that's all I can do. I can only talk about where I'm coming from, and what I've been through in my life, that's it, you know. And what people think of that, good or bad, as Wayne Dyer taught me, you know, what they think is none of your business, you know. To be independent of the good opinion and the bad opinion of other people, I really try to stay neutral with it. I don't get caught up in it, you know, whether they're blowing light and up your backside, or whether they're trying to, you know, do away with you. I try never to get caught up in it. That's why I don't really put much time into the social side. I post and get it out there, but I don't really let the other side, and the comments and the questions and people, anybody that has a go normally. In the past, I would just do away with them. I just take them out. I don't have that anywhere near me. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. But what I do know is when I get back here on Monday from the 5:30 meditation, we're on Sunday night, and then Monday morning 5:30, then all day basically in Glasgow. It was a really full day mostly, you know, to do a 2-hour podcast. I don't know when it's going to be out, within the next couple of weeks I would imagine. And then when I get back I was working Boys Club at night time, didn't get finished at 11 o'clock, and then on Tuesday morning I just made a miscalculation on my phone, which I've been using for the alarm. I've been kind of sleeping, waking up during the night sometimes, then an hour's meditation, then having maybe shut my eyes for half an hour before the meditation. So I've all set my alarm to make sure I'm there, and I missed it. The first one I missed, and Michael and Fern, they did the sweeper. They stepped in and basically held the space, which was great. But the whole event and the whole me getting in there and speaking my truth and then coming back and thinking about it and then contemplating again, because a lot of the stuff that Sean was asking, like, what are the answers, you know, what's the solutions, what's the, and a lot of people look at me and go, it's alright for you, you know, the upbringing you've had, and you've been through some stuff, and there's many levels to it. I mean, I've listened to mostly Sean's stuff on that podcast. I don't watch a lot of the kind of, but a lot of the truth and the, you know, the people's realities of how they've lived, you know, especially you talk about Scotland and the environment we're in, and, you know, people have been through the care system and the prison system, and I have no experience in that, none whatsoever, none. And, you know, when Sean was asking, you know, what happens when somebody comes in that's been through that, you know, and just decimation of their whole life, you know, and obviously, you know, trust and issues regarding everything. You know, who do you trust in that environment? Who do you, you know, what can you believe in? You know, just in that constant state of survival. You know, just I have no experience of that. And you know, what do you do was one of the questions. What's the answers? What's the solutions? How do you fix that? And I've yet to see anything within this work, within this, you know, the vortex and the process that I take people through. It doesn't matter really where you are or what you're coming in with. If you come in with an open heart and open mind, with enough reasons to basically to seek some help with this work, then if you can lie down or sit down and go through some guided breath work and experience, that's the word that I felt I was using I use it all the time anyway, but I was using it I felt with Sean a lot. You need to go through the experience, you need to experience this, you can't just me talking about it. You need to go through the process so you can actually like make a judgment on it because of what you experience. That's how it works, obviously. You know, so but if you come in, no matter what you're coming in with, and you basically go through the guided functional breath work, you know, to switch off the nervous system, and then once we turn off the heat, once we get you a break from that and from you, which could be enough, that could be life changing and life saving, absolutely. But at that point, you know, if we can then, you know, the way that I do it, the intentional breath is to reconnect back into your heart, back into your soul, and back into yourself, back into that divine perfection that's inside every single one of us. Then at that point, you know, I would expect a shift in the right direction, no matter what it is, you know, no matter how, because I believe that divine spark is in there. Very difficult. I do believe it probably can be snubbed out, possibly, but the essence is still there. So if the essence is still there, if that life force is still there, if you shine the light on it, you know, and you water it, you know, with the correct environment, and you nurture it, and I believe you can bring it back to somewhere close to the way it was meant to be. You can bring that back to, you know, full realisation, you know, of the divinity that you came in with. You can get really close to it anyway. It might not be because of the human memory. It might not be back to the way like absolutely perfect, the way that it could have been and should have been. How good would that be? But I do believe we can get really close to it. I've certainly experienced that, you know, everything I've been through, and then with the enlightened experiences that I've had, the 2 or 3 of them, you know, when you come back, all that's gone, all the darkness and the sadness, and it's all gone. None of that exists. And then through time, you know, and in the environment, your mind and the intellect, and you start to, and you can bring it back absolutely by thinking about it, you know. So I know that, you know, I know that, you know, for those who are asking, those who are willing, you know, and the prospect, I've spoke about working in jails for a long time now, and schools, and, you know, but jails is one of the demographics. I mean, there's so many people need to learn how to breathe properly, but you think of that environment and the stress that you're in, you know, just the toxicity, and, you know, there's so many. I come back and I was thinking about it, you know, like Sean, 15 years for a crime that he said he didn't commit, and I believe him. You know, when you think what that does to you, and how you become through it, and how do you manage that? How do you navigate your way through that? You know, in that really enclosed, just oppressive. You know, the lack of space, and I've been in. I went to visit a good friend of the Vortex in jail. A great story. A really good friend of mine. I met him when he'd just about to get charged and was going to jail, and we did a brilliant, we did a day with him at the end of Wim Hof Method weekend, and he came in, him and his brother came in, and they ended up going to jail for a bit of time, and I went and saw him in jail, and just that was my only experience of getting in and going through the, how we need to get in, and then being in there, and like you can just feel it, you can just feel what's going on in there, obviously. So what do you do with that? And straight away I'm thinking, call showers, you must have call showers. I would have them outside the yard. Make it for hard men, in that environment, you make it tough, put the ice baths outside, and somewhere you could go and breathe, outside as well. I'd put it outside and have it all winter. You're looking to switch off stress and give people like a way to calm their nervous system. Obviously you can prescribe them, or whether it's illegal drugs, I don't think there's much of that in the city. It's mostly prescription now. There must be illegal stuff, obviously, I'd imagine, but but to switch off your nervous system, to calm yourself down, the benefits to addiction, to give yourself like a positive addiction when you're in there, to learn to breathe, easily, because one of the challenges would be like, how do you take them in these kind of groups, and then they go back into the main population of the jail. And it's like breath work. Nobody can see that. I've been teaching that to kids for years. Nobody can see this. This is like a superpower. The ability to breathe properly and what it does and how it makes you feel. Nobody needs to know about that. That's between you and you. So that's something that you can be doing that and feeling better. Nobody will ever know. And then something like cold exposure. You bring in cold exposure and make it accessible and normalise it. A lot of this stuff I'm talking about just now, I was talking about normalising God a lot the other day as well, and just making these practices in this language so that lay people like myself can understand it. And normalising like cold, so it's just part of the prison experience. But that's your shower, like a freezing cold shower outside, and then you explain the benefits, and then you teach how to do it properly, and you add it into a breathwork practice. Meditation's just a wee step away from that. You could easily be lights out at night time whenever you go to your bed. You can either, what do you do? So meditation could be something to find, the relief, to find the gap, to give yourself a break for all of that and just escape, even just for 10 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, if you to learn a meditation practice. You'll be talking about shifting the consciousness of the entire space, which would be really interesting. So that's obviously, something that interests me. And really, really grateful to be running about Sean, and he got me through my first one. But gratitude, my brother. It was great. Just good to see him and the path that he's on, and able to help him, hopefully, and share a wee bit of my message and the stuff that I'm doing. And I'm also going to offer an experience with him and through him towards the people that are watching him. I'm going to offer because I talked about the experience a lot, and people watching, I know, okay, it sounds good, but like, how do you then get that? So I'm going to offer a free experience. I'm going to offer a breathwork and a meditation experience to anybody that watched it and is interested in it. They can tune into it, and it'll be similar to the experience I offer through the Vortex, just on Facebook or Instagram or all that kind of stuff. So exciting times. There's loads and loads of good stuff coming up. To continuously work within this way, to continuously do your best, to feel empowered. To be in that way of like feeling good and well-being and the best that you can. It's not easy, it really isn't. It's very difficult. The toxicity of the environment just now is very, very challenging. But to feel the best that you can, to be empowered, and then to use these practices, these fundamental basic tools and techniques. Eventually, it's all leading towards the spiritual stuff. That's what's required just now. All the other stuff, that they're bits to the puzzle. But the main bit is like sitting down, going inside, like getting back into yourself, back into your heart, back into your soul, and expecting like quantum shifts in your life experience. Things will get better when you become inspired, when you get back into yourself, when you get back into how you're meant to feel. There is a way of doing it, and eventually, the enlightenment. That's the thing. That's where we should be heading. The direct experience and the realization of all that we are, know who we are, but all that we are, and that's the thing that brings us all together. We are all connected at a certain level. In Glasgow this morning, one of the big mosques, and beautiful building, absolutely beautiful, and on the side of it, like carved into the sandstone, it was one God. Basically, it was just one God, and I thought, absolutely, all these different, the prophets and the saints and the sons of God and whatever you want to call them, but when you go beyond that, it's back to the source, back to the, what all of them came through, back to the essence, that source energy. And that's what God is to me. That's what consciousness is. It's a field, where everything comes through, including us. So to tap into that, to reconnect back to it, to live from that way. That's the way. That's the way that we get things back into balance. Anything other than that is the wrong direction. Or the stuff that's moving away from that and taking us far away from our human nature and the nature of the planet. The separation from all of that is the wrong direction, and you can see the evidence of that. With how people are doing. It's terrifying to see how sick people are. The amount of young people that you can just see the disease in them. The amount of kids that are overweight. The amount of people that are just struggling and suffering and having a subpar life experience just because of ignorance, just because they don't know. So we need to educate and inspire and show a different way of doing things, because the normal way and the way that it's set up clearly isn't working. It really isn't. There's no goodness in it. There's so many people getting sick and dying way too young. So many people are experiencing stuff that they shouldn't be. So at that point we need to look and see what it is that's causing it, which is the environment. It's just about everything that you can see, which is a wee bit daunting, but it's that faith again. It's the faith that knowing that everything is going to be okay. Mother Earth's going to be fine. The planet's going to be fine. We might struggle a wee bit, the next whatever it is in many hundreds or thousands of years, but the planet will be fine. The planet will get back, the elements and the great way will find a way of getting it back to back into balance and coherence long after we're gone, which is a wee bit of a shame, because it probably didn't need to be that way. It's this. I do believe this is. They talk about heaven. This to me is heaven. This earth, it should be heaven. And when you think back to the way the ancients had it, not that long ago, being able to eat out the rivers and live off the land and drink the waters at the streams, and that wasn't that long ago. You don't need to go back that far, to hear about the ancient civilizations. But the Native Americans, the Aborigines, it's not that long ago. And look at us now. How far removed from all of that, from the earth, from each other, separated, from ourselves, separated. And it continues and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So through awareness, we need to change that. We need to realise that there's a different way of doing it, and the way that happens is through the direct experience of going inside and reconnecting back to yourself. It's through meditation. That's what meditation should be, going back inside and reconnecting back into the bit that's real, and you'll feel it up in here. It's up in your heart and up in your soul. It's in the upper energy centres. Now, it's not really in the mind, it's not really in the head. That we need to switch that off, out of the head and back into the heart. Because once you reconnect and tune back into it, I can feel it. I can feel it with those, and it doesn't need a long time. The ones running about the vortex just now, I saw it in Boys Club on Monday night, 7 of us there, and at the end, set up for meditation at the end, and we all just sat in meditation, and there's no head, there's no energy within the headspace. It's all in the heart. They're all in their heart. They're all feeling the feelings of love. Men like brickies and just working class men, boys, hard as nails, some of them, and just sitting them, being okay, being in that space and being quiet and tapping into their hearts and into their souls and into each other, watching their relationships and how they're helping each other with their lives. And it's a community we're building. Where everybody, is, we're equal, and everybody's, the part that we're playing, as the vortex is rising. Absolutely, there's so many people playing a part in this, and that rising tide, it lifts everything inside, so when you get a lot of people with the same combined intention to make things better, that's exciting, it's really exciting, and that's where we are just now. So we keep going, very, very, very much excited for this weekend. For the retreat, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic. There's many different levels to the work that I do, and the ceremony and the retreat at the weekend is another step up. Really, really excited to share it with the people that are going to come, and life's never going to be the same again. It's as simple as that. I see it every single time. When we get a chance to spend the entire weekend together, we do away with the phones and the food and all the stresses, and we go deep inside, we get into it with Mother Nature, then miracles are expected. So very much looking forward to that. So thank you very much. Episode 20, faith, keep moving forward, keep doing the work, to be in alignment, to be empowered, to be in the flow, to be in spirit, to be inspired, to do your best every single day, to keep moving forward. Decide where you're going. That's what I'm doing a lot just now. I'm ready for something. I can feel it. I'm ready for something big. I'm getting itchy feet. I'm needing something. There's another wave coming, and that's because I'm thinking about it every single day, and I'm designing it with my mind and feeling what it feels like to be there, and it's starting to unfold. It's starting to manifest. So that's exciting, you know, and that's that faith and that work and that devotional keeping moving forward. As long as we're going the right direction, it does not matter when we get there, because once we get there, there's going to be another one, you know. So you've just got to be okay with this, having faith that you're doing the right thing, you're being true to yourself, that you're trying your best every single day, and eventually, you know, it must come. It must. We're going in the right direction, so it must come. For the greatest good always, all glory to God, sending my best love and light to you and yours. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a fantastic day wherever you are. Peace out, as always, and I'll see you very soon. God bless, and bye for now.